Alright, it's time to do some smart basicing. That's even a word. Ah, no, don't! No! It's gonna snap! Psycho tape drive. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Tech of the Century down here in the dungeon with me, your host, Ben. Anyways, we got an interesting episode. I think it's interesting anyway. I'm going to be reviewing, well, for this particular episode, I'm going to be refurbishing something that I used to have back when I was a teenager. Unfortunately, it went up in my parents' house fire back in 2006, so I've been wanting to acquire another one, and I finally did in a few different ways, and I'll show you those in a bit. What I've got is the Coleco Adam, Colecovision Adam family computer system. I do have the components to make a full one of these. It's got the printer and the keyboard with it. No floppy drive. Floppy drives are extremely hard to come by. But I got, the full system here. And there's a few quirks with, not only with these when they came out, they shipped with a few quirks, and we're going to go over those. But also the ones that I picked up because they're like 35 years old, somewhere around there. So they've got the ones that I've picked up, they're not in the greatest of shape. This is probably the one that's in the best shape physically. But the other ones need a little bit of work. So I'm going to be taking you through the adventure of getting at least one of these up and running. And then I'll follow it up with an episode of actually using the thing. Some of the software that was available for it, some of the, the good software, some of the shit software, and I hope you enjoy it. The Coleco Adam was a very interesting machine because their original idea with it was to make a computer that could connect to the existing ColecoVision video game system. So they ended up doing that, but they also put out the standalone computer system in case you didn't want to buy a ColecoVision, or if you did want to buy a ColecoVision and you wanted to buy the computer part of it as well, because the full system has a slot for ColecoVision cartridges. I don't know if you can see that, it's right here. It also makes a convenient carrying handle for your Coleco Adam. So this system was very strange in the fact that the power supply is built into the printer. So if you don't have a printer with one of these, you can't do fuck all, which is unfortunate. Another thing about the printer is it connected with a 9-pin connector, kind of like what you would find on an Atari joystick or a serial port on a computer. They use this for the power, and it's not exactly the most reliable way to deliver power to the system. Like on the back of your computer, if you have an older computer anyway, you'll see the serial ports, and they have standoffs where you can screw the connection into it. ColecoVision doesn't have that, and it's a shame that they don't have it, because I think it would have made it a little bit more secure, because if you wiggle this around, you'll end up fucking up whatever you're working on, which is unfortunate. The digital data drives, they, you shouldn't turn the computer on and off with a tape in the drive, or else it'll erase it, which is pretty fucking stupid. I had two of them. One of them erased tapes, one of them did not. So there are some versions out there that do not erase the tapes when you shut the computer off with a tape in the drive. I remember how angry I was when I erased my cassette version of Donkey Kong. And there's a very good reason why I was upset about that. I had the cartridge, but the cassette version of Donkey Kong has a fourth screen that you don't get on the cartridge. So I was pretty pissed off when I left it in there, shut the computer off, and I was like, fuck! And I turned it on, put the game in there, and it was dead. Totally fucking dead. But on the plus side, on the internet, you can download the tape images, and you can just record yourself a new one. I'm going to show you how to make the tapes for this thing too, which is an interesting process in itself. So, how about you join me in the kitchen, and we're going to go work on some Coleco Adam computers. Alright, so I'm going to go over all of the Coleco Adam stuff I've purchased over the last, I guess, couple of years now. So this is the first system I bought. It came with the printer and the memory console, which is, this is a standalone computer system here. So this was originally priced on Kijiji for $40, and I showed up there and I started showing things that were broken, like this latch, and there's supposed to be a little tab here and another tab over here, and they're all gone. So I showed them that, and the top part of the drawer for the door for the digital data drive is busted off and totally gone. So it was from a nice girl who was working at a video game, used video game store. And after I showed her all this stuff, she said, well, you know what, I feel bad charging $40 for this thing. I'll charge you just $20. And I said, yep, that's perfectly good by me. So, if we take a look inside, I believe one of the latches that's missing here is down inside here. What we got here is, this is not an original ribbon for the Coleco printer. This is apparently a genuine replacement ribbon. The original Coleco ones use a Mylar kind of tape that goes through the print head. This uses more of a materially nylon kind of stuff that can be reused, or I guess they can put more ink into it. So I'm gonna have to see if this thing actually does print any letters, and if it doesn't, I know a place that refills cartridges. So I might have to take it to them and see if they can put some more ink in it, because I do want this thing to print. Alright, so this first system, I got it about 2 years ago, and it's been sitting in the garage. I do believe it works. I powered it up in the store, and I saw the head relocate, and I did a carriage return or whatever it does every time it powers up. Alright, let's move on to the next one that I purchased. This one I bought about a month ago at an e-recycler. They used to have some old son of a bitch working there who was cranking up the prices of all their vintage stuff, and it appears that he doesn't work there anymore, which is a good thing because I was able to score this for a mere $20. And it came with a bunch of Odyssey 2 cartridges for some unknown reason. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I don't have an Odyssey 2. I've used one. I don't have a desire to have an Odyssey 2. So I may try selling the cartridges or giving them away or something. It came with the keyboard cable, which is kind of nice. And this one actually, I know it works. Like the data drive's all in one piece. I powered it up with the printer, plugged it into a display, and it does work. So I'm very happy about that. I think I'm going to stop for a nice Mr. Rogers encouragement break, which I can't open with one hand because I'm holding the camera. There. Mr. Rogers should encourage me to open it with one hand. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. You've made my day beautiful. This is the third unit I've purchased, and I mainly wanted it for the keyboard, although the keyboard is definitely seeing better days. The C, the letter C is, I threw it inside the data drive. He did actually have it. So I need to glue that back on. I'm going to rip apart a keyboard and see if I can throw a shift key on here. The guy I bought it from, he was a fucking asshole. I did not like him. He wanted to sell this to me for, like, with the Colecovision for $50. I told him no fucking way, because this is the only thing I wanted. This is the expansion module version, by the way. It plugs into a existing Colecovision. So I didn't want the Colecovision, I just wanted the expansion module. and I told him I'll pay you 40 bucks for the expansion module alone, and this thing is also seen many better days. It's missing the labels on here. It's just beat up and looks like hell. On the plus side, it came with the tray that the Colecovision sits in. I do own a Colecovision that I can plug into this. And there it says expansion module 3. I've never actually seen an expansion module version. I've only seen the standalone. And it doesn't have the Colecovision cartridge slot here like it does on the other ones. But you don't need it because you have a Colecovision, right? So now I have to figure out exactly what I'm going to do here. I looked at the serial numbers of all these units. This is the newest one. Judging from the serial number, this is the newest one. The data drive here looks, other than this piece missing here, it looks pretty good. A lot of people online complain about these pinch rollers here. Well, they're not pinch rollers, they're indexing rollers. And a lot of people complain that the rubber has melted off of them and they have to replace it. A lot of people will replace the melted rubber with a Hot Wheels car tire, but this one doesn't have that problem. It has a very long springy button here, which is used to not only tell the computer that there's a tape in here, but also to help push it out when you open the door. Which is useless because this thing's fucking broken here too. At least we can hold it shut and we can see if this drive actually works. I'm very curious. I have to find out which of these computers is going to erase tapes. I don't think it was inherent to the data drives to erase the tapes. I do believe it was the actual unit. Because the last unit I had when I was a teenager, it erased tapes and I had replaced the data drive many times and it continued to erase tapes. So we'll find that out in a little bit. The second unit, in excellent shape. I was very happy to pay $20 for this. If you look in the data drive, you'll see that this pinch roller is also, or this indexing wheel is still intact. Not sure if you can see it on the camera here. There is a very small button up here to tell you that there's a tape in here, or to tell the computer that there's a tape in here. It's not like the other one. So it looks like there's multiple generations of these data drives, which is interesting because this computer was only out for a little more than a year. They revamped this so many times. Alright. The third one, the hellish one that looks like shit. Open the drive. Now look at this one, besides the key sitting in there. The rubber on the indexing wheel is totally gone. And judging from the serial number, this is the oldest model. It has totally different spindles on it compared to the ones on the other ones. Has a spring in here to help push the tape out. And I think, yeah, the little button's up here to tell the computer that there's a tape in here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to get this up and running. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to refurbish this one by using parts out of the first one, which has the broken door, or if I want to do it the other way around, use this one to fix the other one. I haven't figured that out, but I want to do some tests before I decide which one I'm going to fix. What I'm going to do with the keyboard is, I'm going to glue that one key back on. But I picked up a thrift store keyboard. I thought gray would match this a little bit better than white, but I don't know. I'm going to see if I can pop this shift key off of here and just glue it right on here. I'm not too concerned about making this keyboard 100% original. I'm going to keep my eyes out for a better shaped one in the future. There should be some kicking around out there somewhere. But I'd get one for about $50 off eBay. And that's the keyboard alone. I purchased this and this for $40, which I was more than happy with, because I want to have 2 data drives in my unit. Alright, let's move on to fixing the keyboard.